Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Caught on the Mic. I am Michael Clark. Like myself, I know many of you have interests in many different facets of pop culture. What becomes interesting is when all of those facets of interests intersect and create something new and unique. Thus is the case with my next guest, a brand new band called MOVIESTARZ. Alex and Tyler also have a fashion line called Newport Bleach, and it all kind of ties together with this enigmatic synergy. I can't wait for you to listen to their story. Alex and Tyler of MOVIESTARZ joins me on Caught on the Mic today. As always, listener and viewer discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Caught on the Mic. My next guests have a pretty unique story. They met in line at a Plus 44 show in 2006. That was when Blink was on one of their hiatuses, I believe. And everybody was heartbroken, and they just hit it off right off the bat and started talking. And that led to a friendship that has cultivated itself in a brand new project called MOVIESTARZ. They've got a new release coming out called Club Punk, and I am glad to welcome Tyler and Alex. Alex is a familiar face if you are watching my show on a regular basis, from MOVIESTARZ to the show today. Guys, how the heck are you?
Great, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Alex, welcome back.
Thank you. No,
it just feels like we were just talking.
I know.
Like not even yesterday, like a couple hours ago.
This is cool.
Alex is like the co-host on like Jimmy Kimmel. That's like always there.
Dude, don't even start with the Jimmy Kimmel shit. I get told I look like Jimmy Kimmel. So
yeah, you have Jimmy Kimmel adjacent energy for sure.
Adjacent. Yep. I like that. I like that.
You guys could definitely like be at the same Thanksgiving table.
Dude, you know what? It's a true story. Growing up, I found out my dad had illegitimate children. So like when people started making jokes about how much I looked like Jimmy Kimmel, it's like, fuck, I got another sibling.
Wow.
If Jimmy Kimmel's brother was in a band.
Right, exactly. Like a wannabe hardcore band. What's that?
They're both the entertainment world. Never know.
Yeah, absolutely. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to you guys. Introduce yourselves and kind of talk your background, starting with you, Tyler.
Yeah. So my name is Tyler. I sing and do lots of other things in MOVIESTARZ. New project that we just launched, our first single, Club Punk, this past March on 321. We've been in the studio with it for the past 2 years. It's like been from like our first demo to like getting the final mixes. It's probably like a full 2-year span. We're super proud of the project. It's a full album that will be out by the end of the year. And this is just me and Alex have known each other since we were very young, and played in other bands together, did other things together creatively. And so this was kind of like a long time in the making, and we're super stoked on its final product. And yeah, I guess that's our quick background. And what's up? Hello, I'm here.
Alex.
And I'm Alex. I play bass and do a lot of the production stuff in MOVIESTARZ, keys, programming, arrangement, and all that good stuff.
That's awesome. Now, tell me a little bit. You just touched on it before we pressed record. You guys also have a clothing line as well, correct?
Yeah, we do. It's called Newport Bleach. We started it kind of unintentionally right around COVID. We were kind of doing it anyways before that happened, and then the world shut down, and we were like, oh, let's go print t-shirts.
Yeah.
And the idea was like, I always kind of hated the majority of like my favorite band's merch, like all due respect, majority of the time. But I've done graphic design, and I've thought I was just kind of selfishly thought I'd make cooler graphics for them. And so then I just started making my own merch for bands I liked. And so it was just bootlegs basically. But we found really, really, really nice blanks to get them on. So then it was like this kind of like luxury bootleg is kind of what we made. And people love it. Thank God. It's so cool. We've done projects with like Hoku, like 90s kind of pop thing. We're doing a collab right now with Heidi Montag. Like we've been doing all her merch lately with everything her and Spencer have been going through. Artists like Gregory Sift and stuff like that. So it's just like a cool little thing that we've always done. And it's still not really, we don't actually really make any money on it, because I just put all the money we make from it back into like making cooler stuff. And, we've done nicer prints and nicer hats. And so, yeah, it's been like a super fun kind of creative thing, just a little world to build. And it was always something that I saw like a bigger vision with, where once we had, if I ever had like a new music project, to also have our merch be there. Kind of like how Mark and Tom from Blink did like Loser Kids back in the day, where then Loser Kids had like Macbeth and Famous and Atticus, and then they sold Blink merch, and it was like this kind of cool little, like, they created their own like Tilly's or like that kind of thing.
It's its own ecosystem in a roundabout way.
Yeah, so we've always hired like artists we just like that we find to like make graphics for us, and so it's just this little world that I feel like I've wanted to like create and kind of have all these things kind of work into it. And it's very like nostalgia based and art based, but then ultimately when people like, we don't make anything shitty. Like we'll spend more like to make like a really nice candle, like where it's not just like a, we like spent time even like smelling the different ways of the candle or whatever. Like,
yeah.
So it's been super fun. And yeah.
So like a chicken or the egg kind of conversation about that. In what ways, in regards to movie stars, in what ways does the fashion influence the art, or does the art influence the fashion with the music that you guys are trying to create?
I think this, I mean, me and Alex, I used to stand in front of Alex's house and just like get high and talk to him for like 3 hours about like my vision.
We still do.
And we still do. And and it's just because like I see this so far, like I see like already like second album stuff, but like I already know like visually so many things that like I want this to be. And I was explaining it like that, like 21 Pilots does, I keep referencing them, and that we reference them actually a lot in this, where like they definitely create their own world, and like from every piece of it, from like the fandom, there's like a storyline, there's characters, there's art. It's like the video is like a movie. It's like, it's very, everything is so intentional. And I love when bands have every purpose of what they do is intentional. It's not just like, hey, we made a great video, and then also here's this shirt. Like, I kind of like to have it all really like blend and be in this world is totally something I wanted out of this. So we were always saying, like, even naming the band, I've had this name MOVIESTARZ for a while, just because I always thought it was funny how many like actors would always want to be musicians, and then and vice versa. So I thought making a band called MOVIESTARZ would just be kind of like ironic. And then I thought of the merch of like, I want to be a movie star, to be like on a hat. I thought would just be like a cool like LA like kind of trendy hat to have. And so like that, I was almost like thinking of the merch of the name of the band as a brand before we ever like had a song.
No, that makes perfect sense. And just kind of correlating that environment, like creating a culture around your art. Alex and I were just talking earlier today about the generational differences from like probably the time when you guys first met around the peak of the MySpace era to now the peak of the influencer and social media era. You have to have things that set you apart now, just because of how quantified there is, how much art there is out there, how much music there is out there. Alex, you had a few hours to kind of think about it. Kind of give me your thoughts on the differences and how what you guys are creating with Movie Stars and the clothing line differentiates from things that you've done in the past.
Yeah, so yeah, as we like talked before, I know like with movie stars, I think the intentions are to make really sick music, music that we enjoy, right? But also branded in a way where, let's say, we make these like, as you know, we have this cool clothing brand, but we also wanted to make movie stars sort of another clothing brand in itself. So maybe people find out about us because the movie stars clothes are really sick, and then that's how they find about the music. Or movie star, we have people that find out about movie stars in the music way, and then they figure out like, oh wow, they make really cool like clothing for this. So I think like setting us apart from different bands or artists, I feel like doing it in that way, I think makes us stand out more. So I mean, if you didn't like movie stars but you like the merch, it's still like a win-win either way for us. Like we make dope, cool clothing here, or we make dope music there, and it kind
It's
of
kind
just
of like
all.
how I feel like the Misfits are now. It's like they don't
Yes.
really care if you listen to their music. They're like, that skull shirt is like the most iconic thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go. It's just like,
yeah,
it's just cool to have. And like,
Right.
at this point, I would assume they probably don't care because they sell so many things with that fucking skull on it. But like, that's a win for them too. They're like, if you just fuck with this thing, they created that just as much as they created the music. Like, that's like, I see that as as much of a W, or Joy Division or whatever.
Yeah, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, like iconography and music have gone hand in hand for as long as the music business has been in existence. Misfits are a great example. My daughter just started singing in a band, and I went to her show the other night, and they covered Hybrid Moments, and
Let's go.
I was beside myself. I was like,
Absolutely.
"Holy shit!"
a full
So
circle dad moment.
yeah, it totally is a full circle dad moment, but it's like it is a total package thing. Now, have you guys looked at like visual side of things, like videos, and like maybe what movie stars looks like as far as something somebody takes in visually while listening to the music?
Yeah, we just so the video for Club Punk is also out. So that's something cool. We could also be like, while you're listening to this, after you could hit pause right now and then go watch the video and then come right back, or do whatever version you'd like. But the video,
Maybe I'll even link it in the bio.
very nice. Let's go. So the guy that's doing our album art, all the single art, and also did this first video is this artist me and Alex both love. His name's Bill Green. He goes by Hands Out of Pockets on IG. He just has such a sick style that is very like childlike, but punk, but like detailed, and it looks like stuff you would like draw in your binder back in the day, but like also could be like at the Met Gala. It's like it's so well done, and I love his style so much, and I felt like it was the exact visual way I saw Movie Stars.
Right.
And it was just because it's kind of chaotic, but it's chic, and it's like, I don't know, there's it just kind of hit a lot of marks. And so that's how the first merch was, and we'll take a lot of that. But the video he did is this like kind of stop motion, hand illustrated. So it's every single like second was hand done or edited and chopped.
That's
and
awesome.
So it's very cool. He did a phenomenal job of that. And like just with that, I purposely didn't want us to be in the first video because I didn't want to be like, "What's up? I'm singing. He's playing guitar."
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It just
that
feels
makes
so
perfect
like,
sense.
and then like we're in a field, we're on a stage,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay.
It's just I just feel like it's just too easy to do, and it's just very easy to lean on that whole the band thing. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I think me and Tyler talk about it all day with the visuals, and I think one group that stood out was the Gorillas.
Yes.
They don't really. I still to this day don't know what they look like, but what they look like from their visuals. They have this whole like animation, this whole illustration, and I think like intentionally we were going for more of that in
Yeah.
this project.
That's a good good parallel to make, and kind of leading into my next question is, reading through your guys's bio, it sounds like you want to lean into your influences but also create something that's substantially different. And I'm kind of interested to find out what the pathway to that difference looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the way we did so many of these demos was so like I would just mob over to Alex's place. He had a little home studio set up. He'd be like, "All right, play me something you're listening to." I'd kind of play him like my like top 2-3 favorite things I was kind of jamming recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would just kind of like be like, "What's the next song they would make?" And we kind of just did that. We would kind of just capture a little energy, whether it was like a newer artist that we listened to a bunch, was like Upsall or Sophie Powers, Bare Hands, things like that. Like very like we love the blend of the kind of pop punk world that we grew up on, with just production wise, guitar tones, drums, that kind of anthemic thing. But we both also love like EDM, dance, house. Alex loves hip hop, so much. Like, so, and like production wise, like I always love interesting kind of sonically like stuff that grabs me in a more unique way, and like a Britney Toxic, like
right,
that like violin, dun, 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 like, and that's up to like a chopped up sample, weird like turned around thing, but it was like I want an album to be a full album of that. Like, give me a full album of Toxics. And it was kind of like, how do we do that, but also be something we could be live and still be a band, but also could we go play like an EDM festival? Like, we've talked about the live portion of this being like maybe two ways. Like, we could maybe do like a live set if like the situation called for it, but then also be able to go do like a Chainsmokers show if that ever happened,
Right.
like,
that makes perfect sense.
And kind of have it still be able to be both things. Like, I always thought it'd be cool to be the pop punk band at the EDM show, like, and also vice versa. Like,
yeah. So how fully fleshed out is your live show? Have you guys played live as Movie Stars yet?
We have not. No, it is. That, that's going to be a whole beast in itself, but I'm stoked.
So what does a Movie Stars live show look like, as if it were to happen perchance like this week?
Dang. If it happened this week, I probably have like 2 friends come play guitar and drums, and then I just kind of rip it on vocals, and we probably have some tracks going at some point.
Yeah.
And we'd say fucking go nuts with the lights. That's probably what we'd say.
Yeah.
Like, take the light switch and
like
go crazy.
Alex, wearing multiple hats in multiple projects and involving yourself as a producer as well. I do want to touch on the hip hop thing, because I know my backdrop might not reflect it, but I'm a massive head. So we're going to touch on that here in a minute. How are you able to delineate or separate yourself from things that the different projects that you do from a producer aspect? Unmarry yourself from this thing that you're doing in your right hand to the thing that you're doing in your left.
Yeah, totally. Well, it wasn't an overnight process to really learn the routine of, like stepping outside of that genre and then going into this. It took a lot of time. But I think like producing different things and, even just myself producing different stuff, just being able to, I think ultimately it's a nice challenge to to go from another genre to another one. I think that I need that, and it's needed in most artists or bands, because I think people can get, bands can get stuck, or artists can get stuck
Yes.
just playing pop punk, or they can get stuck doing hip hop. But as people, I know that they like other stuff than just the music that they write. So obviously I have a lot of hip hop influence, a lot of pop, a lot of like disco stuff. So I wanted to, like, in this project, Movie Stars is cool because there really is no restriction. Like,
Right.
if Tyler and I were to meet up tonight, we'd probably say, let's make some fucking jazz record with like a Charlie XCX beat or something, um, which is like a nice challenge. But we like the hybrid of things. I've always been into that with certain artists or bands where they will fuse genres together. I mean, I know that's common. There's like the hip hop rock, there's the country rap, and a lot of that doesn't come across sometimes. So I feel like some of those people got to do their homework to make that blend better. But in here, having the influence that we have, I feel like it's easier to like separate myself from
Yeah.
that pop punk world, and then really like think of, oh, let's do movie stars type of stuff, but still have those elements of the stuff we grew up to, if that makes any
Yeah,
There were
sense.
so many things that we did that were like, it was just messing around with sounds. Like we
Right.
literally would
Yeah.
just click around on sounds until we like liked it, and then like once we liked it, we'd stop. We'd be like, okay, and then like we'd like make something with that sound, and then we'd like build on it. So it's like that's kind of all it would take too.
Mhm.
Is like we were really just looking for something sonically that we were both like, oh, that's sick, or like, oh yeah, do that, but make it longer, bigger,
Yeah.
higher, lower.
It's just like music has no rules at
Right.
anymore, so you don't have to stick to just being a pop punk band or just being a pop artist. You know what I mean? You could go write something else and really challenge yourself as an artist or as a creative, which is, me personally am working on and still doing, just to be better at my craft, and hopefully be able to contribute that stuff in other things.
Dude, I am so glad you said that, because that's exactly where I was going with this whole thing. Was, we all come from a time and era, take yourselves back to the being in the line at the Plus 44 show, where your typical music fan sees things unilaterally. They only see things one way. But as musicians, we see things that one way, but we see things multiple other ways as well. And one thing that I've noticed with the music industry at large, especially over the last 10, 15 years, is those rules and restrictions that bound you to one genre versus another have kind of dropped a little bit. And maybe it's an influence of the streaming era and this newer generation of artists that are coming up saying, you know what, I was just as influenced by Jay-Z as I was Atreyu, and just as much as I was Willie Nelson. It's, and so people aren't as beholden to genre, because genre used to be people's whole identity back in the day, you know and to me, just kind of listening to you guys talk and kind of my movie stars experience so far, it sounds like you guys are trying to break the walls of that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that's we like I was saying, I want to live in so many worlds. Like ideally, like even to the band name being like, I was like, oh, I think our that would look cool as a feature. Like if we ever collabed with somebody and it was like featuring movie stars, I was like, I feel like that even aesthetically looks like
Yeah.
something you would want to click on or
Mhm.
listen, at least try out. So I think I say that because then if we did a collab with anyone, I feel like if like Carrie Underwood came to me and Alex and said like, hey, I want you guys to produce a song, we'd just be like, hey, let's just find a cool fucking sound you like, Gary. And then if like Charlie did, I feel like we would do the exact same thing. And then I feel like if we did a song with State Champs, it would be the same thing. And I feel like if we did a song with like Beyonce, you know what I mean? Like it would be I feel like we would approach it the same way no matter what. And I feel like that's what we kind of cracked, is like we've learned how to like put sounds and stuff together and know that like at a certain, even at like a halfway point in a song, you can just go like whoop and like completely like U-turn and then like still make it cool. And that's what was such a like goal with this, was to make this again world. And we want to make an album too. That's such a lost art of like, I want you to start to finish, like even the track listing of everything, just like there's highs and lows, there's peaks and valleys, that's what you want. You want like sonically to feel like you never stopped listening to the first song. Mm-hmm. That's when albums are amazing. That's like an American Idiot type thing, where it's like it never really stops. It's just kind of like, oh, it feels like one long song in like the best way.
Are you guys fans of the way that releases take place now? The trickle out strategy as opposed to releasing a whole album at once?
I was knowing we would have to trickle this out just for the sake of promotion, because nobody knows who we are. And so if we just were like, boom, record, what's up?
Right.
Yes, selfishly, I want everyone to hear everything right now, because I think it's fucking incredible, and I can't wait for everyone to hear everything. But just for the purpose of like having to like always have something to talk about and really try and turn this into where the full release hopefully has some matters, to some extent, and make some little wave out there. That would be my biggest win with it.
Spoiler alert. I've talked to several artists, like even big name artists that are well established. They will say one thing on record and then when the record button stops, I will never say who, but there's been a couple of them that would be like, dude, I hate releasing music this way, where they have the whole album in a can for a year and then they're like,
it's awful,
release one song every 2 months. And it's just because it's a marketing strategy. As in it sometimes, I know a lot of artists feels that it takes away from that exact experience that you were talking about, that listening to an album start to finish, getting to enjoy the whole thing, because people already know each of the songs individually, so they're never able to marry the relationship of how the songs tie together. You know what I mean?
That's what totally sucks, is now like you'll hear these singles, and whether anyone, you can never not admit it, because it's like once that's the first song you hear, you always hear that song as the single, even in the context of the album. It just stands out one way or another, for better or for worse, as the like better song, catchier song, more popular song. It just is what it is.
Yeah, and the album becomes overlooked. So you're like, oh, I just want to play the hit. They only have their hit song. That hit song is the best song because you've listened so many times, so that now that the album's finally out, you're like, everything is okay. I'll just keep listening to the same single that's been out.
Yeah. I sent our album to a couple friends, and she was like, it was so cool, because I'd be like, oh, this one's definitely my favorite, and then 2 songs later she's like, no, that one's my favorite, and then a song later she's like, wait, I think that one's my favorite. And I'm like, that's so cool that you listen to everything that way. And like we held back showing anybody, like even in our little inner world, any of this stuff, because I wanted it to be the final product. Like once it was like done, then it's like, okay, now I at least can like show people, and this is what we've been spending 2.5 years being very meticulous about.
So being guys that also have a clothing line, dealing with physical things like t-shirts, hats, hoodies, what are your guys' opinions on physical media as far as music releases go? Alex?
Emphasize on that physical media thing.
Vinyl CDs, like cassettes.
Dude, we actually have a vinyl in the making for this album, also done by Hands Out of Pockets. I think with those tangible things, I think it's kind of a lost art. I mean, vinyls are in, but I don't I guess personally to me, I don't really see people buying it as much as I think they should.
Right.
But I think it is just as important to have because who knows, the the new movie star fans that become dedicated, they'll probably want those kinds of things, and to keep in mind with making those kind of things because I like that stuff. I know Tyler and I love, especially when we go to like shows that we love and they have these like limited edition concert posters or like you can only get it at the show type of deal. Like I think, those things are really important to us. And I think, we'll incorporate a lot of that when shows start to roll out and when we start to get more on the table here.
Yeah. There's been it feels like there's been a slow movement, it's, and when I say slow, I'm talking like sludge down a flat street, slow, movement back to physical media, like to the point, and I was saying this earlier when I was talking to you, Alex, is, I've got teenage daughters and they've started being really picky about buying vinyl themselves. And I think it's because they're getting into the ritualistic aspects that we had when we were younger. When you'd buy the CD, you'd open it up, you'd listen to it for the first time, fighting with that jewel case to get it open, taking the inner booklet out and reading the lyrics, learning the names of everybody that's in the band. And, it's pretty interesting that the industry is finally slipping its way back to that, or at least seemingly so.
Yeah, I miss all that stuff, man. I mean, as a kid, man, and I speak for all of us, at least us three here, and for everyone watching. I think, in our age group, I miss going to like a Best Buy or like a Tower Records, knowing that this band's CD is coming out on Tuesday. You have to go get it on the release day because it's cheaper that day than it will be tomorrow, and you can't wait to go buy that album because it's like right when you walk into the store, it's right in front of the shelf and you get that. And then from there, you'll spend countless hours in the record store just finding other shit, and then,
Yes.
and the mystery to buying something like, oh, you know how they say like, don't judge a book by its cover. Like I've bought many CDs, many albums that were like, oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna just buy this. This band name sounds pretty cool. Like, let's buy this. And 9 times out of 10, it's either really sick or it's not. But you have it, and you may like one or three, four songs on that thing.
Yes. Funny story. And I know both of you guys will appreciate this because of your diversity in music tastes. I remember I was reading an issue of Alternative Press, early 2000s, and they had asked Chino Moreno from Deftones what his favorite album was that year. And at this point in time, everybody was kind of shitting all over the boy band thing, pop music thing in general. It was around the time Britney Spears' Toxic was new, whatever. And Chino Moreno said, my favorite album was Justin Timberlake's Justified. And he goes, because it sounded like a Michael Jackson album. And I was just like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. So a couple days later, I go into a Target and I'm with the girlfriend I had at the time. I had AFI's new CD, Justin Timberlake CD underneath it, and I forgot who. Oh, I think it was Story of the Year CD underneath that. So there's like sandwich. I got two pop punk albums basically, and Justin Timberlake in the center. I shit you not. I go through the cash register. Cashier's like, boop. There's the AFI CD. Boop. She pauses at the Justin Timberlake thing, looks at me. I said, it's hers. And my girlfriend totally busted me out. No, it's not.
That's so
but,
funny.
But the thing is like now nobody would think anything of that at all.
I hate the shame of listening to pop music. Like when people give you shit for listening to like catchy things, yes. I am the most anti that ever. I will wholeheartedly, like Alex knows, I fuck with girl pop pretty much more than any style of music ever because this is what I always say. That is like the most attention to detail of production of like, they had to make such a perfect, like people look at it as like, oh, it was overproduced. No, I think something overproduced is almost like, it's so interesting. It's so like so many people put so much care and time and attention to make this like perfect shiny product
Yeah.
Like I love an Olivia Rodrigo, a Chappell Roan, a Gaga, like all that. Give me that shit all day long. I love all three of them. All of them are amazing because I feel like they're so lucky. It's so cool. You get to do your art with, you have every expendable thing to like make the merch, make the vision, make the world, make the lunchbox, the figure, the thing, the limited, the whatever, every embroidered, like you want to make the craziest merch piece, go for it. Like they get to do all that on such a high level. I'm so fascinated by it. I'm so like intrigued and jealous. And like, that's what the dream is for me. Like, why wouldn't it be? Like you get to put your art out there on the highest level it possibly can be. That's so fucking sick.
Dude, and as musicians, like you put in your earbuds and you listen to some of that girl pop, you start to hear little production niches.
Oh, exactly.
That you don't hear in anything else, especially if you're high. You really hear the
100%.
production niches.
100%.
Listen to Britney Toxic. It's crazy. The song is nuts.
All the little hooks that you don't realize that you're ingesting all at once.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've all probably seen the video of All the Small Things breakdown where Rick Beato, I think, does it, where he breaks down the synth and all the small things. That I consider myself one of the biggest Blink fans in the world. I had never heard that synth line until there, and then I have this even bigger appreciation for like All the Small Things and what they did on that record. But it's like every pop song is so. I look at that as just the like. It's like the NHL, you know. It's like It's like that's the pros. That's the that's the top level. And so that was always something with this too. Of like I pulled in. I would show Alex pop music, like super pop music, more than anything.
Okay, so this is a good question for both you and Alex. Two different genres. Okay, Alex, top 3 hip hop acts that you're listening to right now.
Top 3 that I'm listening to right now. Well,
or just in your top 3.
Well, top for sure is Tupac. For sure is the top one for me.
Okay.
What's the next one? I don't like a lot of his new stuff now, but he was definitely a nice little inspiration for a lot of the newer hip hop stuff. But Kid Cudi, he's cool. I think like if we're talking a producer thing here, hip hop producer like Pharrell or Timbaland, any of the things that they did, you know, Snoop.
Yeah, man, you're into all the big producer type stuff without even saying it.
Right. And you know, those guys, you know, they make hip hop records, but they ultimately end up being on radio, which is pop music anyway, which is popular music. So I mean, dude, yeah. But yeah,
so Tyler, same question for you, but I know you kind of briefly hit it, but what are your 3 top pop artists?
Ever or all time or right now?
Sure, let's just do it all time.
Oh God. Shit.
And we could narrow it down to girl pop if you want.
No. I know. I'm trying to like I'd want to say Katy Perry, honestly, because I mean, yeah, she's having a moment right now, but those top 3, the One for the Boys, Teenage Dream, Prism, that run is so undefeated. It's crazy.
Yes. I agree with that. So
crazy. I love Taylor. I have feelings about her thing. I could spend a whole podcast about. I'm a Swiftie. It's all love. But you can't not say her. She's just like number 1 ever. And then maybe like Madonna, just because of her like longevity. She's literally had top 10s in every in 4 eras, in 4 decades or something like that. You have to show love for that. I'm gonna give you a different top 3 though, because I'm gonna give you like top 3 current, like my faves.
Okay.
Underscores, because I just saw her at Coachella, is bananas. She's so good. I'm gonna go Blossom. She categorized it BLSSM.
Okay.
There are a few of her songs that like I think they like every time I listen to them, I'm like, I'm so jealous. Like I'm so jealous you wrote that song. It's such a good song. It's crazy. Like I'm like, fuck, that's holy shit. And then number 3 is Mallrat. That was like this other weird thing I felt like I'd always bring up was Australian pop. Like I was pulling a lot of like Australian artists. I feel like Sicko, Peach PRC, like all these people that are I'd realize like, oh, where are they from? And they'd be like Sydney, Melbourne, Sydney, and I'd be like, oh,
a good talent coming out of that.
yeah, like the Australian like pop, EDM, dance, house scene is like
just music in general from Australia. Like,
yeah, I mean, they murder.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and historically so. I mean, you go back to the '80s, you think of bands like Men at Work, Colin Hay, and INXS, and like well-crafted songs. Like,
yeah, those Aussies know what's up.
They do, they totally do. It's a fun question, kind of off the rails a little bit. So, what do you see? This is a repeat question for one of you guys, but what do you see for the future of Movie Stars? Say 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road?
I think, well, 6 months from now, the record will be out, which I'm very eagerly waiting for that moment. Like we have the album art done. We have like a vinyl and product. It's like, so there's so many things. We will have multiple videos by that point, more photos, more visuals, way more merch. Definitely, hopefully, knock wood, a show or two at that point. And then 2 years from now, I hope to be talking to you about our second record, hopefully.
Yes.
So,
yes. How about you, Alex?
Be a nice goal.
Yeah, he kind of touched up on kind of what I was going to say too. I think like in the next 6 months, I think a couple shows rolling out. Obviously the album will be out with a couple singles before it. Maybe more merch, more Movie Star stuff dropping as far as that goes. And then in like the next 2 years, maybe we get signed to some cool label or something, or we got a sweet booking agent or something. Anything can go, really.
Absolutely. The rules are absolutely endless. Given everything that you have experienced over the last 15 years or so, what's your advice for making the world a better place tomorrow than what it is today?
Do stuff that makes you happy. That's it. Do stuff that makes you happy. If you're doing something that makes you happy, no one can talk shit on that, and you will hopefully feel fulfilled, even if your outside world is a little chaotic. You could still do something to make yourself happy, or at least try to.
Yeah, be nice to everyone, even though they might be dicks to you. At least just be nice. At least you have that.
Yes. Guys, tell my audience where they can find you and your music online.
All of our socials are at MOVIESTARZ with 4 Z's. 1, 2, 3, 4 Z's when you're typing it in. That is for no particular reason. It's just because regular Movie Stars was taken. So that's what we got. And yeah. And then I'm at Tyler Treats. If you want to follow that, Newport Bleach is the brand. You can follow that too. All good. And go stream Club Punk.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Alex is at alex.wavefile.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I told Alex earlier, now I got to make the trip out to Cali just to hang out with all of you guys and both of your projects, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens with this project. I'm excited for it. And just, it's been a pleasure having this conversation with you guys. Tyler, Alex, the world is a much better place with you in it. Thanks for doing the show today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you. So nice to chat with you.